my review for Escape from LA from 1996. This is a John Carpenter movie that I was always kind of wary to watch. Really big John Carpenter fan. I love pretty much all of his movies. And I know this one has a really bad reputation. So I just never got around to watching it. But they were reviewing it or talking about it on the podcast, How Did This Get Made? So decided to watch it in preparation for that podcast, and thought, I should eventually see it anyway, but I don't know what to say about this, because it's pretty much an exact remake of Escape from New York, except it's set in LA. So Escape from New York was really good. It came out in 1981, and it kind of set a tone for that kind of movie. I think there are very similar movies that came out later, kind of like Running Man or Demolition Man and Johnny Mnemonic. They all had this kind of weird semi-post-apocalyptic alternate America look. And I'm guessing that this movie, Escape from LA, kind of just failed because, for one, it's just basically exact same story as Escape from New York, but also there'd kind of been a lot of similar movies in that style, between 1981 and 1996 when this was made. Kind of been done a couple too many times, but anyways, a little bit about like the plot. So Kurt Russell returns. This is actually a little trivia. His first and only writing credit for Kurt Russell. I think he helped write mostly the ending of the movie, but he comes back as Snake Plissken, and very similar setup. He got arrested, and they're forcing him into doing something regarding the president. It's actually the president's daughter, though, stole this kind of black box weapon and took it to LA, which has now been disconnected from the rest of the continental U.S. due to earthquakes and stuff. So it's its own island now. And they inject Snake with a virus, and he has about, I think it's 10 hours to find the black box and bring it back. Otherwise, he'll die from this virus, and they have the antidote if he comes back and succeeds. Very similar to the first movie. This one, the president's played by Cliff Robertson. You might recognize as Uncle Ben from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. And the soldier guy that's with him is played by Stacy Keach. Pretty recognizable. So, Snake has no choice but to agree. And actually, everything at the beginning was pretty good. I thought it was decently well done. It's very reminiscent of Escape from New York, but at the same time, I thought it was done pretty well. And a couple changes about what's been happening to the world and what's happening to the U.S. and this kind of weird dystopian future. But anyways, he eventually goes over to L.A. Doesn't use a glider this time, but goes underwater with like a little sub, and that's where you get some kind of goofy animations, which I'll talk about later. But when he gets there, he sees Peter Fonda makes an appearance as some random guy, and then so the main bad guy in the original movie was Isaac Hayes, played the Duke, and here it's a random actor I didn't recognize, but he's playing a guy named Cuervo Jones. Basically, like, gonna start a revolution and attack the U.S. And so Snake needs to get to him and find the black box and all that. Let's see who else is in there. Steve Buscemi is kind of like Cabby's character from the original, but a little bit different. And then the girl, of course, there has to be a girl. So Adrienne Barbeau was in the original. And here it's Valeria Golino, who had a pretty decent career going in the late 80s, early 90s. She was in Big Top Pee-wee and Rain Man. She was the main love interest in Rain Man. Then she was in both of the Hot Shots movies with Charlie Sheen. I recognized her right away. She's pretty recognizable from the late 80s. But so she's like a woman that's in there for a while that maybe needs rescuing. And instead of a boxing scene, there's a sort of interesting basketball scene where Snake has to make a bunch of basketball shots in a pretty limited amount of time. It's kind of interesting. Uh, who else? Let's see. Bruce Campbell makes an appearance as this weird surgeon guy because they're in Beverly Hills. Like it's like a joke about plastic surgery in Beverly Hills. That little cameo is kind of funny. And then Pam Grier shows up as like a transvestite person that has had a past with Snake, and she ends up being like his partner ally towards the end. And that's kind of where all the craziness comes, and they go and attack Cuervo Jones and get the black box, and then there's, some okay twist stuff happening at the end when Snake brings back the black box to the president and stuff. But overall, I didn't think it was too bad. It had a super, Carpenter vibe to it, which I like. I love his style of filmmaking, so that was good. I thought it did have a pretty solid start. The special effects are pretty bad. I think one of the maybe the more recognizable shots is of him surfing. I think it's probably in the trailer, and I don't know, there's a lot of stills of him like surfing. But that part was really short in the movie, and it didn't look as bad as I thought it would. It doesn't, don't get me wrong, it doesn't look great, but it's kind of whatever. There's a part later when they're hang gliding to attack Cuervo Jones and his guys, and that part looks goofier, like a attack by hang gliders. But overall, the effects are pretty bad because in the trivia for this movie, it said that the effects house that they hired had never done like computer digital effects. And show is pretty bad, but I don't know. If you take it for what it is, it's just like goofy, campy Carpenter movie. It's a decent watch. Definitely not anywhere near Escape from New York because of, that one was pretty influential at the time, kind of like I'd mentioned. I think it kind of kicked off that kind of dystopian America and has a really interesting backstory. But then there's I think there's just been too many movies in that same vein, like I'd mentioned, Demolition Man, Johnny Mnemonic, all those. And so this kind of came around at the same time and just not different enough. So I definitely get the criticisms. But other than that, I think that'll be it for my review. It's a 2. I'm going to go to 2 out of 5. It's not great, not awful either. Just don't expect a whole lot different from the original Escape from New York. But if you're a Carpenter fan, I think it's definitely worth a watch. He made it towards the decline of his career, but I think it's okay. So it's kind of like a mild recommend, 2 out of 5. Okay.